The Russian assault near Pokrovsk descends into chaos as poorly executed operations, inhumane treatment, and the sending of wounded soldiers on assaults led to devastating losses and ever-decreasing Russian morale, according to Euromaidan Press media outlet. It is noted that with Russian commanders resorting to handcuffing their soldiers together to prevent desertions, underlying issues remain unsolved, and Russian soldiers become increasingly unwilling to throw away their lives. The goal of the Russian forces in this area remains the same: to establish positions on the outskirts of Pokrovsk and the agglomerated settlements. The Russian offensive operation on the city's western flank near Kotlyne and Udachne is stalling, with Ukrainians launching counterattacks to limit Russian progress. By assaulting Pokrovsk directly, Russians hope to establish a foothold that would nullify their logistical issues caused by a lack of infrastructure to accumulate supplies. To achieve this, the Russian forces are utilizing their positions in the village of Pischane, launching assaults through the forests and tree lines that connect it to the agglomerated settlements in the outskirts of Pokrovsk. The buildings and a nearby mine in Pischane allowed the Russians to accumulate a large enough force to launch pure-infantry assaults through the narrow tree lines and forest patches to reach and initiate fighting for Zvirove. Euromaidan Press says that through these tactics, Russians are trying to utilize the main advantage of their close proximity to Ukrainian positions in Zvirove. Russians are trying to use the tree lines and small forests in the area to conceal their troop movements along this already short distance, allowing Russian forces to quickly reach Ukrainian positions while minimizing losses along the way. However, Russian assaults are limited by a lake and a small river in the north, forcing them into a narrow funnel south of Zvirove, which Ukrainians have further reinforced with razor wire and landmines. This forces the Russian forces into casualty-intensive assaults. As Ukrainians understood that Russians could only move through this narrow area, they unleashed a swarm of reconnaissance drones equipped with thermal and night vision cameras to monitor the tree lines and strike any Russian forces attempting to attack. Combat footage from the area reveals how Ukrainians detected the movement of Russian forces with thermal cameras almost immediately after they left their cover. This allowed the Ukrainians to accurately strike the Russian assault with conventional artillery and cluster rounds, inflicting tremendous losses and leaving no survivors. Additional footage from the aftermath of the attack shows one of the surviving Russian soldiers isolated in a dugout, filming himself and stating that his commander refused to evacuate him and other wounded, leading to him being the only one left alive. Ukrainians quickly detected this soldier, providing him with food and water and guiding him back to Ukrainian lines so he could surrender himself. Russians also shared another video showing more wounded soldiers being prepared to go on assault while walking on crutches. An instance of extreme neglect by Russian commanders grow. The morale of Russian soldiers is reaching new lows, creating extreme dissatisfaction and risking massive desertions. Later footage shared by Russian soldiers in the Pokrovsk direction shows how the commanders solved this issue by tying their soldiers together with handcuffs as they were transported to the front. They feared these men would desert while on their way to the front. Besides the cruelty of such measures, Ukrainians also extensively target Russian transport vehicles moving to the front, meaning that if these trucks are hit, the Russian soldiers have a near zero chance of escaping the burning wreck alive.
A small plane crashed in northeast Philadelphia 30 seconds after it took off as crews respond to a fiery scene, Pennsylvania's governor said Friday. According to Associated Press, video from a doorbell camera captured the moment the plane crashed. A wall of orange glowed at a distance, followed by a smoke plume. Governor Josh Shapiro said he is offering all Commonwealth resources as they respond to the small private plane crash in northeast Philly. The crash happened less than 3 miles from Northeast Philadelphia Airport, which primarily serves business jets and charter flights. Photos taken at the crash site appear to show residential homes on fire. Flight data showed a small jet taking off from the airport at 6:06 p.m. and disappearing from radar about 30 seconds later after climbing to an altitude of 1,600 feet. The plane crashed in a busy intersection near Roosevelt Mall, an outdoor shopping center where first responders were blocking traffic and onlookers crowded onto a street corner in the residential neighborhood of Ronhurst. Philadelphia's Emergency Management Office said that roads are closed in the area. The Federal Aviation Administration said 2 people were aboard the plane, which was a Learjet 55. The plane, a small, business-type jet, was en route to Springfield, Missouri. The plane appeared to be a medical transport jet. The plane that took off and quickly disappeared from radar was registered to a company operating as Med Jets. The FAA said the National Transportation Safety Board will lead the investigation. The NTSB, which investigates air crashes, said it was gathering information about the crash.
Oh my God!